Let's look at some of the most common patient presentations of plantar heel pain that you're going to see in your clinic and how the 4-step DOLA process can help you prescribe and manufacture a cost-effective prescription orthotic. We'll explore the concepts of orthotic dose and how to replicate your successful treatment-directed testing with common in-clinic orthotic modifications for patients presenting with a range of foot types.
Case 1 is a common plantar heel pain presentation, with risk factors including occupational demands, foot type, and work-specific footwear.
Patient 1 is a male builder with pronated feet and plantar heel pain. This is a typical male presentation, 40 years old and around 85 kilos. He's got an active lifestyle and works long hours on his feet wearing safety boots. He's got a flexible pronated foot and passes the lunge and jacks test for sagittal plane function. He's had a painful heel for 3 months, which presents with pain at the fascial origin at the calcaneus and also spreads into the proximal plantar fascia. It's worse first thing in the morning and when he gets out of his car at the end of the day after work. This patient responded positively with fascial support and antipronatory strapping. Let's go through the pathway for a orthotic prescription.
Step 1. Let's pick the DOLA Pro style for this patient. His work boots have a removable insole, so a full-length device is ideal and there is plenty of space, so we'll go with a full-featured DOLA Pro full length. And then based on his body weight and control required, we'll use the medium density Pro 80. Step 2. Let's look at his foot type to see what prescription we need to add to the DOLA Pro shell. The fully reinforced medial arch support of the DOLA Pro will reduce the load and strain on the fascia during load, stance and propulsion, especially in the pronated foot. And with a moderately pronated foot, we're looking to increase the dose to a more moderate dose of medial orthotic reaction force. To do this, we'll add more rear foot control with an extrinsic EVA rear foot varus wedge. The wedge is thicker on the medial side to tilt the foot outwards and support the pronated foot. The flat plantar surface of the DOLA Pro allows fast and easy application of these self-adhesive wedges. Step 3. Now we need to look at the pathology or tissue stress and see if there's any further prescription required there. With plantar fasciitis, most of these include adding extra cushioning to reduce the load. So we've gone for a full-length pour-on cushioning layer. We could have gone for just a pour-on heel pad. However, with the full-length pour-on layer, we're able to provide increased cushioning to the entire fascia and foot. And there is plenty of space in his work boot, so the overall device thickness and fit won't be an issue. Step 4. Due to his work, we need a really strong, durable top cover with a high quality look and feel, with added moisture wicking properties. So we've chosen the DuraFit top cover. The aim of this orthotic is to provide a moderate dose of medial orthotic reaction force with cushioning and a hard-wearing top cover. All of the items that you'll need are laid out here on the desk. So let's have a look at how we're going to make this in clinic. So we just take all of our components here. We're starting with the rear foot varus wedge. Just make sure that with the rear foot wedge that we're placing the thicker portion on the medial side to give you that varus or medial control. If you want to make it a lateral or a valgus wedge, then just make sure that that's thicker on the lateral side. That's just going to help with the direction that we're trying to give that rear foot control. What we're going to do here is we've got the mid-layer pour-on. We're just going to glue this with our contact adhesive. So remembering to glue both surfaces, so the top surface of the orthotic and the top layer of the pour-on. You can use a heat gun here just to try and help the drying a little bit quicker. And then what we're going to do is apply that pour-on onto the DOLA Pro shell. So start distally and then just press backwards towards the heel cup. Get a nice firm contact, make sure that there's no air bubbles, and press down nicely around the edges of the shell. What we'll do then is we'll just trim it down. So just before grinding, if we trim down around the edges, it's going to make it a little bit easier to grind. And then what we're going to do is take it straight off to the grinder. Depending on what sort of setup you've got here, obviously you can grind it a few different ways, whatever's easiest for you. Given that it's a mid-layer, the nicer the surface and the more we can trim inside, as you can see in here with the Dremel, the easier it is to finish, the nicer the top cover is going to look and the more professional it's going to look as well. So once we've finished that mid-layer application, we're just going to glue on the DuraFit top cover here. So DuraFit's a really, really nice professional durable material. It's got really, really good wear properties and has got a lot of moisture absorbency and wicking as well, which is perfect for a work boot. Once again, we're just going to hit it with a heat gun here just to dry things a little bit quicker. And we're applying from distal back to proximal as well to get a really nice finish. So pulling down on the edges really nicely. And this is something where if you've taken that little bit of extra time to make sure that you've got those edges ground down nicely on that mid layer, then it's going to make a big difference in terms of the overall finish that you've got. We trim that back down again with the scissors, so this is just going to save a little bit of grinding time if you get this trimmed down nicely. And then we're just going to do the final trim to make this look perfect to go into the boot for the patient. So fairly, the DOLA Pro is designed obviously for a lot of these customizations and optimizations to be made really, really quick and really, really professional in clinic. So it's something that's been designed over a lot of time just to help you out, and you're going to get a really nice result. Once this is all done and we're finished with the grinding and you're happy with the look and the feel of the orthotic, then we are just going to do a fit into the boot, and then you're just going to give it to your patient and he can start wearing it. Case 2 is a common plantar heel pain presentation with risk factors including occupational demands, foot type and work-specific footwear. Patient 2 is a female nurse with supinated feet and plantar heel pain. This is a common female presentation. She's 51 years old, around 75 kilos, and has diabetes. She works long hours on her feet in nursing shoes. She has a moderately supinated foot with lateral instability and an ankle equinus. She presents with a painful left heel of 8 months duration, with pain at the fascial origin and into the medial arch. It is worse first thing in the morning and after a long shift. She responded positively with strapping. Let's go through the pathway for orthotic prescription. Step 1. Let's pick the DOLA Pro style for this patient. Her nursing shoes are similar to walking shoes and have a nice removable insole, so a full-length device is ideal, and there is plenty of space, so we'll go with a full-featured DOLA Pro full length. And then based on her body weight and control required, we'll use the softer density Pro 70. Step 2. Let's look at her foot type to see what prescription we need to add to the DOLA Pro shell. The fully reinforced medial arch support of the DOLA Pro will reduce the load and strain on the fascia during loading, stance and propulsion. And with a moderately supinated foot, we're looking to increase the dose and the amount of lateral orthotic reaction force and midfoot support. To do this, we'll add more medial arch support with a 5mm pour-on arch pad and more lateral support with a 4-foot valgus extension. The 4-foot extension is thicker on the lateral side to tilt the foot inwards, supporting the supinated foot and stabilising the lateral ankle. The flat plantar surface of the DOLA Pro allows fast and easy application of these self-adhesive pads and wedges. Step 3. Now we'll need to look at the pathology or tissue stress and see if there is any further prescription required there. The previous modification for foot type will help reduce the strain on the plantar fascia and medial arch, but we still need to address the ankle equinus component, so we'll also include a heel raise in our prescription. We'll also consider adding extra cushioning in the next step for top covers. Step 4. This patient has diabetes, so we're looking to not only add extra cushioning to help with the plantar fasciitis, but also to reduce the shear force on her feet to address her diabetes risk factors. We've chosen the diabetic anti-shear top cover, which will fit nicely in her shoes as they have removable insoles. The aim of this orthotic is to provide a moderate dose of lateral orthotic reaction force and cushioning for the supinated foot, along with a top cover to reduce shear force and provide extra cushioning. So let's take a look at how we're going to make this in clinic. So we just take our DOLA Pro. The first step here is we're going to be marking out for the medial arch pad. So we're just using a self-adhesive pour-on arch pad. Marking, this one's in the center of the arch, which is kind of one of the more common placement positions. You can place it more proximal or more distal to suit. Depends on your patient and whereabouts you're trying to add that extra medial orthotic reaction force. So we're placing that one just a little bit more in that kind of central position through there, and we're also going to be placing on the heel raise at the same time. So all of these are nice and self-adhesive, so nice and fast placement. They look nice and professional as well, all with a 3M tape, so it gives you the maximum amount of adhesion that you can take. Next step is to place on this 4-foot valgus extension. This is a triplanar wedge, so it's fairly unique in that it's going to be thicker on the lateral side and also at the distal edge as well. So we've got some clinical markings on the plantar surface of the DOLA Pro which make this placement quite easy. So we're just going to peel off the adhesive section through there and obviously place that on that dorsal on the plantar surface through there. And then it's time to trim that down, so just taking some scissors. All of these additions trim nice and easily, so it's just going to help when it comes to grinding time a little bit later on. Next up, we're going to be putting the top cover on. This is the diabetic anti-shear, so same thing again, just putting on some contact adhesive here. So we'll just place that on, or just cover that evenly onto the dorsal surface of the orthotic and onto the top cover. Spread it out nice and even, let it dry, and then we're just going to activate it with the heat gun. This is going to give it a nicer adhesion, and it molds into the heel cup a little bit better. Once again, placement, we want to start more distal and move back into the proximal heel cup. So take a little bit of time with this, make sure that you're getting nice even spread and the cover is nice, especially around that heel cup. The rest of it's going to cover quite nicely. We're going to trim this down with some scissors to make the final grind a lot easier, and then we're back off to the grinder to smooth it to get a final result. So the diabetic anti-shear is, you want to go a little bit slower with this one. It's kind of a little bit more because of the extra cushioning in it. It feels like it rebounds a little bit more off the grinder, but just go nice and slow and at your own pace through here and get a nice finish. This is going to be grinding the pads down as we're going as well, so you're going to get a really nice lab kind of looking finish through here. If you just take a few moments, it's going to be worth it for your patient. And then we're just fitting it into the nursing shoe here, so nice and easy, and your patient can give it a test. Case 3 is a common plantar heel pain presentation, with risk factors including sporting and activity demands, foot type, and sport-specific footwear. Patient 3 is a female footballer with mildly pronated feet and plantar heel pain. This is a very common presentation. She is 35 years old and around 68 kilos. She has an active lifestyle and plays football twice a week plus training. She's a flexible, pronated foot and passes the lunge and jacks test for sagittal plane function. Her heel has been painful for 2 months since the start of the football season, and it's also causing pain into the medial arch. It's worse in the morning after matches and even when she stops for half time during the games. She has had the team physio strap her arches before the games, which also seems to help. Let's go through the pathway for orthotic prescription. Step 1. Let's pick the DOLA Pro style for this patient. The DOLA Pro fit has been specifically designed for harder to fit footwear, especially football boots. It has a much lower profile than the DOLA Pro and fits into football boots without the need for any further adjustment or grinding. Step 2. Let's look at a foot type to see what prescription we need to add to the DOLA Pro fit shell. The fully reinforced medial arch support of the DOLA Pro fit will reduce the load and strain on the fascia during loading, stance and propulsion, especially in the pronated foot. And with a mildly pronated foot type, we're looking to increase the dose and amount of medial orthotic reaction force. To do this, we'll grind in extra rear foot varus or medial control. The grind will keep the rear foot post thicker on the medial side to tilt the foot outwards and support the pronated foot. The flat plantar surface of the DOLA Pro fit allows fast and easy modification of rear foot control. Step 3. Now we need to look at the pathology or tissue stress and see if there's any further prescription required there. With plantar fasciitis and medial arch strain, we'll look to further reduce the load and strain on the fascia and the medial arch. To do this, we'll increase the dose in the midfoot area by adding more medial arch support with a 5mm pour-on arch pad. Step 4. Due to the sport-specific footwear, we need a really thin, strong, durable top cover with added cushioning. We've gone for an EVA top cover in 2mm, as the 3mm option will take up too much space in the boots. The aim of this orthotic is to provide a moderate dose of medial orthotic reaction force, with cushioning and a hard-wearing top cover, whilst being able to fit nicely into a football boot. So let's take a look at how we're going to make this in clinic. So the first step is to grind in the rear foot varus post. This is just where we're just grinding nice and flat on the bottom surface, but keeping it thicker on that medial side to provide that medial orthotic reaction force. So you can check this as you're going just to make sure that's nice and even, but one of the really key features of that stable flat plantar surface of the DOLA Pro range is being able to grind in that rear foot post nice and easily. Next step is we're going to put on the medial arch pad. So this is just a pour-on self-adhesive arch pad using the 3M tape again. We're just going to mark off we're at the position of that on the medial arch. Most of the time you're just going to put it more centrally in the arch, but obviously you can put that a bit more proximal or a bit more distal if you want to move the pressure or the support point to suit your patient. So depending on their foot type, their morphology, things like that. So once that's adhered onto the top surface through there, now we're just going to add the glue. So this is just the contact adhesive again. So we're just going to spread that nice and evenly across the EVA top cover and of course on the dorsal surface of the orthotic and across the top of the arch pad as well. Just going to let that dry for a little bit, then activate it with the heat gun again. Once again, when we're placing this EVA top cover across the top of the DOLA Pro fit shell, just going to move from the distal direction back into the proximal direction, nice and even, nice and slow. There's no rush here, and we're just going to pull it nicely around the heel cup just to make that nice finish for them. We're just going to trim that just to save a little bit of time on the grinder, and then it's off to the grinder for some finishings. So just doing our final grind here, we're just making the EVA top cover nice and smooth around the surface of the DOLA Pro Fit just to get a really nice finish, and then we're just going to place it into the bottom of the football boot. Case 4 is a common plantar heel pain presentation with risk factors including occupational demands, foot type, and work-specific footwear. Patient 4 is a male office worker with a neutral foot type and plantar heel pain. He presents as a 45-year-old, around 82 kilos, with an active and healthy lifestyle and works long hours up and down on his feet in dress shoes. He has a flexible neutral foot and passes the lunge and jack test for sagittal plane function. He's had a painful heel on and off for 12 months. It's worse first thing in the morning and later in the afternoons. This patient responded positively with fascial support strapping. Let's go through the pathway for orthotic prescription. Step 1. Let's pick the DOLA Pro style for this patient. His work shoes don't have a removable insole, so a 3/4 length device is indicated, and due to the reduced amount of available space, so we'll go with the DOLA Pro 3/4 length. And then based on his body weight, we'll use a medium density Pro 80. Step 2. Let's look at his foot type to see what prescription we need to add to the DOLA Pro 3/4 shell. A neutral foot usually doesn't require much further adjustment of orthotic reaction force, as the DOLA Pro's standard features provide sufficient orthotic dose. The fully reinforced medial arch support of the DOLA Pro will reduce the load and strain on the fascia during loading, stance, and propulsion. Step 3. Now we need to look at the pathology or tissue stress and see if there's any further prescription required there. With plantar fasciitis, most prescriptions will include adding extra cushioning to reduce the load. In this case, the space in the shoe is at a premium, so we've gone for a pour-on heel pad to increase the cushioning on the heel and without taking up too much space in the shoe. Step 4. Due to his work shoes, we need a thin, durable and luxurious top cover with a high quality look and feel, so we've chosen the DuraFit top cover. The aim of this orthotic is to reduce the load and strain on the fascia, provide extra cushioning and a luxurious top cover, all whilst being able to fit into a men's business shoe. So let's take a look at how we're going to make this in clinic. First we take the DOLA Pro 3/4 and a self-adhesive heel pad. We just place this in the center of the heel. So these are available in a few different sizes depending on the heel cup size. So you just get the one that's going to be the closest fit. And then we're just going to glue the undersurface of the DuraFit top cover and the top surface of the Pro 3/4 shell. This is just done with the self-adhesive contact adhesive, and then we can spot heat it to activate the glue to get a better adhesion as well. Then we're just going to place the top cover on top. Taking a bit of time with this, we want to make sure that we get really nice even coverage and the pressure's nice and even, especially around the heel. We want to start from the distal end and work back into the heel cup to get a nice finish with the DuraFit on top of the shell. In this video here, you can actually see how we haven't trimmed the DuraFit top cover. We're just using the actual grinder to trim it as well, so that can save you a little bit of time. One of the good benefits of covering with the DuraFit material, nice and strong, so you can actually get a nice grind out of that without having to trim it first. So just little tips to make you save a little bit of time. And then we're going to fit it into the business shoes. So good thing about the Pro is how nicely it fits into the heel, just like that. Case number 5 is a common plantar heel pain presentation with risk factors including activity-specific demands, foot type, and sport-specific footwear. Patient 5 is a female runner with pronated feet and plantar heel pain. This is a typical female presentation. She's around 45 years old and 62 kilos, has an active lifestyle and runs 20 kilometers a week in running shoes. She has a flexible, moderately pronated foot and has functional hallux limitus with a failed JAX test for sagittal plane function. She's had a painful heel for 6 months and it's causing her to stop running as much as she'd like, and she wants to keep up with her exercise. It's worse first thing in the morning, especially after running days, but warms up when she's running after the first 5 minutes or so. This patient responded positively with fascial support and antipronatory taping. Let's go through the pathway for orthotic prescription. Step 1. Let's pick the DOLA Pro style for this patient. Her running shoes have a removable insole, so a full-length device is ideal, and there's plenty of space, so we'll go with a full-featured DOLA Pro full length. And then based on her body weight and control required, we'll use the softer density Pro 70. Step 2. Let's look at a foot type to see what prescription we need to add to the DOLA Pro shell. The fully reinforced medial arch support of the DOLA Pro will reduce the load and strain on the fascia during loading, stance and propulsion, especially in the pronated foot. And with a moderately pronated foot, we're looking to increase the dose to a more moderate dose of medial orthotic reaction force. To do this, we'll add more rear foot control with an extrinsic EVA rear foot varus wedge. The wedge is thicker on the medial side to tilt the foot outwards and support the pronated foot. The flat plantar surface of the DOLA Pro allows fast and easy application of these self-adhesive wedges. Step 3. Now we need to look at the pathology or tissue stress and see if there's any further prescription required there. With functional hallux limitus, we need to add a reverse Morton's extension. This will plantar flex the first MPJ, improve her windlass and propulsion, which will all help further reduce the load on the plantar fascia. Step 4. Due to her running, we're looking for a strong, durable top cover with high quality look and feel with added moisture wicking properties. So we've chosen the DuraFit top cover. The aim of this orthotic is to provide a moderate dose of medial orthotic reaction force with sagittal plane facilitation and a high-end moisture wicking top cover. So let's take a look at how we're going to make this in clinic. We take the DOLA Pro and the self-adhesive heel raise, just place the heel raise on the back. Great thing about having the stable flat plantar surfaces, they just adhere nice and easily like that, so give you a nice professional look, nice and fast. We're now marking the position for the reverse Morton's extension. This is just going to go from 2nd to 5th. There's also some clinical markings on the bottom surface of the DOLA Pro that you can use to make consistency and the symmetry nice and easy as well. We're just going to grab the reverse Morton's extension pour-on pad here, which can also be supplied from DOLA. And we're just going to place that on the dorsal surface of the orthotic and then trim it down. So any overhang through there you can just trim down just to make the grinding a little bit easier later on. We're just going to glue the top surface of the DOLA Pro shell and also the DuraFit cover through here. So this is just with our contact adhesive again, nice and even through here. And then we're also going to grab the heat gun and activate the glue once it's dried, ready for placement. So when we're placing, same with all types of covers, we want to go from the distal end back into proximal and work into that heel cup to get a really nice even finish around there, no creasing or anything like that through the heel. This is where we're going to spend a little bit of time and get a nice professional look. This is really worthwhile spending a few extra minutes and just making sure that that's a really nice kind of lab type finish that we're getting through there. And then we're going to go off to the grinder, and once again with the DuraFit top cover, a lot of the time you won't need to trim it. We can just cut all of the excess off with the grinding wheel as we're going. So nice movements. You can take this as slow as you like. Once you get better, obviously it can be a lot quicker, but this video is just showing you how in a few kind of short movements you can get a really nice professional finish. And then we just fit it into the running shoe, so it's all ready for the patient to start wearing. All of these products are available from Canonbury, and if you want to save time and want us to do it for you, consider our patient ready range with our 9 most popular and proven prescriptions.